Why do South Africans and other African countries turn on each other instead of confronting the system that holds them back? Why is it that when jobs are scarce, Africans don't storm government offices, but instead turn on each other? Why does a Nigerian in Ghana get told to go home, or a Zimbabwean in South Africa gets attacked, when the real question should be, who failed to create opportunities in the first place? This didn't start today. This didn't even start with our current leaders. The roots go deep into colonial history. Before colonialism, Africa wasn't perfect, but people moved, traded, and lived across regions more freely than we think today. Identity existed, yes, but borders weren't these rigid lines of division. Then colonial powers came. They drew borders with rulers on maps, splitting ethnic groups and forcing strangers into artificial countries. They introduced a system of divide and rule, favoring some groups, neglecting others, creating tensions where none existed before. So from the beginning, African nations were built not on unity, but on managed divisions. After independence, same system, but new faces. When independence came, many expected change, but what happened? The system didn't disappear, it was inherited. African leaders stepped into structures designed for extraction, not development. Instead of rebuilding, many governments continued centralizing wealth, neglecting job creation, failing to invest into education and industry. So economy struggled, jobs became scarce, frustration grew. When people are suffering, they look for someone to blame. But blaming the government, that requires organization, courage, and long-term thinking. Blaming your neighbor, yeah, that's easier. So the narrative changes. Foreigners are stealing our jobs. Outsiders are the problem. But think about it. How can someone steal a job that was never created in enough quantity to begin with? The anger is real, but it's being misdirected. In South Africa, we have seen violent xenophobic attacks. Migrants, many of them African, are accused of taking jobs. Some are running their own business, not actually jobs provided by the government. They are being accused of surviving. It's easier to fight a fellow African than challenge a broken system. It's easier to blame a foreigner than demand accountability from leadership. But every time we do that, we protect the very system that keeps us struggling. Indirectly, they are the one teaching us to fight ourselves rather than hold them accountable. Africa is not poor because Africans are the problem. Africa struggles because the system were built to divide, and we are still playing by those rules. Until we shift our focus from each other to the structures that limit us, the cycle will continue. So next time you hear they are stealing our jobs, ask the right question. Who didn't provide enough job in the first place? When you hear they're selling weeds to our people, ask them, who are the farmers growing this weed that they are selling to your people? Because an immigrant can't do farming in South Africa. Look at Europe today. They are so united. You don't see them fighting their own Europeans for stealing their jobs. That's because the government provided enough jobs for them. Africa just need to learn to be united and face our common enemies, our leaders.